Hello everyone, welcome to the Knitting Bingo KAL kickoff. This is a year-long knitting challenge that I am inviting you to participate in. Last year I made my own knitting bingo that I updated you on as I crossed things off. This year I want to have other people join in. So let me tell you the reason why I like a knitting bingo and why I'm deciding to do it again this year. I view a bingo as a guide through the year. It's a list of prompts that I can choose to do or I can choose not to do. It's not a list of patterns that I am saying I want to knit. I can select certain patterns that fit the prompt, but I'm not locked in to a make 9. So I find the bingo card less rigid, more flexible, more fun to participate in. And if this is something that sounds fun to you, I want you to participate as well. So here's how this is going to work. This is a year-long knit along that ends at the end of 2026. It's pretty informal, so you can participate with fairly low stakes. And you have some options as far as which bingo card you can use. So I've created a knitter's bingo card, which is what we're going to officially use for the knit along. I wanted to keep this bingo card just for knitting so that if you don't do the other hobbies that I do, you're not excluded from being able to use a group card. But I do have what I'm calling the Maker's Bingo card, which has the extra hobbies that I like to do. So I've included spinning, sewing, and crochet. And I've also included a prompt that is geared towards machine knitting, since that's something that I'm going to be exploring this year. But it doesn't have to be machine knitting, and we will get into that in a moment. But the other option that you have is to just completely make your own. Maybe you already have goals for the year that you've set, or you have projects or ideas that you want to explore. I have included a blank template, so if you want to download that and just write your own, you're more than welcome to do that. You can still participate in the knit along. So on the Knitter's Bingo, we have pattern from a new designer. This can be a brand new designer or a new to you designer. A triangle scarf or shawl, a randomized project, meaning you use some sort of random selection to make your project, whether that's using dice or a spinner wheel, a random number generator, having somebody else pick things for you. However you want to interpret random will fit this one. Knit a viral pattern, a sideways project, a vest to slip over or tank, knit in public, the reverse Flegel heel. This is my pattern, so being a little bit shameless here. If you want to insert your own heel, if you have a heel that you prefer, you're more than welcome to knit that instead. A low buy or a no buy month, a project from stash, an embellishment. What I mean by this is something that you've added on to your knitting. So this could be beads, embroidery. I see that as potentially being a trend this year. Fringe, duplicate stitch, adding bows or ribbon, a new technique. We have our free square labeled as a D-stash, pattern from a queer designer, the tubular cast on or bind off or both, project from a book or magazine, a non-wool item, so a plant-based yarn or any other material that is not wool, a black project, stripes, any project that features stripes, colorwork yoke, frog a whip, fingering weight sweater, project in a week. This would obviously be something small, brioche or half fisherman's rib, and the last is finish an old whip. So this is the official bingo card that we are using for the knit along. Some of these squares are intentionally left ambiguous. They don't specifically say knit. So if you want to use this and insert other crafts, that sounds like a fun thing to do. You could also use the Maker's Bingo if you also spin, sew, and crochet. So let me go over the one that I will be using this year. The only differences are dress, pants, or shorts. I've never made any of those items. And this is the one that I'm thinking of using my knitting machine for. I don't know if I'll actually get to making that this year, but I also have crochet a garment. That was on my bingo last year that I didn't complete. 3-ply, so spinning, make a quilt. I'm very excited for this one. I think it's gonna happen this year. and knit with hand spun, which is a goal of mine every year. And I think I've completed that goal since I've been spinning. So this knit along is going to start out here on YouTube. I will also post the cards as well as the blank template on my Instagram, so there'll be a story highlight. So if you want to use Instagram, you can tag me over there. I really wish that hashtags were better on Instagram, but they're not, so I haven't bothered to create a hashtag, but if you tag me, I will see it. I will also be making a post on YouTube that will have all of the cards that you can download. And that's about it for now. I may add a thread of some sort so we can talk about what we are completing and what projects we want to make to achieve certain prompts. I'm open to the idea of creating a Discord or something that's not on Instagram. I'm not a fan of Instagram's chat features. I just find that pretty difficult to actually participate in, but something like Discord works much better for me. So that could potentially be something that happens later in the year. But for now, it's just going to be something that I talk about here on the channel. And I welcome you to comment at any point about what you're doing, what you're making. I want to hear from you about how this is going. Now, I also want to mention that you can cross things off in the way that you want. So if you want to just get a bingo and then call it good and you're done for the year, that's great. If you want to try to get all of them crossed off, that's also great and ambitious. If you just want to see how many you can cross off by the end of the year, that's also great. This challenge really is something that you take ownership of, and so you can really do this however you like. You can make concessions, you can change things up, whatever you want, you make the rules. The hardest part about crafty make-alongs is that this is a slow craft and we all are working on different things. We all have different goals and different things that we want to make. And I don't want this to be something where you have to like set aside the things you wanted to do in order to achieve this. Not that I think anybody would do that, but I want this to be something that can kind of fit somewhat seamlessly into what plans you already may have for the year or things that you were already thinking about making, and really make this work for you as well as it can. I also want to take a look at last year's bingo. So here was my bingo board for the year. First one, design or improvise a sweater. I did that. Fingering weight sweater, did that. Fractal spin, also did that. Intarsia project, did not do that. Crochet a garment, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't do this one. Warm weather garment, make an accessory, low buy / no buy month, knit a sweater in a month, scrappy project, I hit bingo. All stash yarn project, pattern from a book or magazine, didn't do that one. Brioche project, yes. Colorwork socks, no. And then I have another bingo, knit with hand spun, lace garment, all black project, provisional cast on, and more than 2 patterns from 1 designer. In the last row, a project with a new technique. To my knowledge, I did not do this. I was really racking my brain thinking about my projects, and I don't think I did knit a new technique. Chain ply, I did that one. Make every pattern you buy. I should not have bought like 2 patterns and I would have completed this. A non-wool item and a sideways project, which I didn't do. So you can see I did borrow some of those for this year's bingo, but none of the ones that I completed last year are on my bingo card. I have one more thing that I want to go over, which is my goals for last year and my goals for 2026. The sun is completely behind the clouds, so you're just gonna have to deal with me looking like this, but every day this week it has been cloudy and I've been having such a hard time filming. So in addition to my bingo card last year, I had a few other goals that I will run through whether I completed them. There were 3 rollover goals from the year before. The first one is to finish pitch, which I did not do. We'll talk more about that in a later video. The next one was to knit my boyfriend a sweater, which I did do, yay. And the last rollover goal was to finish my craft room, which I did not accomplish. It is still a bit of a chaotic area to be in. It's just full of yarn and sweaters and stuff everywhere. And one day it will be more organized than it is today, but not right now because I did not finish that this year. My other goals for the year, I completed all of them. So I had knit with handspun, film my projects from start to finish. I filmed several project vlogs this year, and I also had several vlogs where I started a project in one and then I finished that same project in another one, so I am counting that as complete. Reduce my average active projects per month. I did accomplish this one, but barely. Last year, my average active projects per month was 3.5, and this year it was 3.3. So I just barely skated by on that one. And the last one was to style more of my knits and come up with outfits in the project planning stage, which I am marking as complete because I did really focus on that this year. I didn't really share that too much, but I did really think about what my outfit was going to be before I committed to a project, and that definitely helped integrate that item into my wardrobe much better. So I wouldn't say I did that with every project. I had a couple of projects that were more about the process for me than the finished object, but I would say mostly that experiment went well. In addition to the goals, I also made 3 predictions last year, and so we're gonna go through those to see if I was right about anything. These were predictions that I made for myself, not like things that I thought would happen in the community. So the first one is that I would make more accessories than the last couple of years, and this one did not come true. I would say I knit about the same amount of accessories that I do every year. Next is that I would find my go-to yarn base. I think I was manifesting this because I would like for this to happen, but it didn't happen. I still have some brands that I really want to try that are potential go-to yarn bases, but I didn't end up trying those last year, so that is something that I'm keeping in mind for this year. Final prediction is that I'll knit more than 2 patterns from the same designer. That did come true, but also maybe that was a little bit of a lazy prediction because I think I do hit this every year. Actually, maybe not the year before last, but I knit at least 3 patterns from Andrew Mowry this year. Now is the point where I get into my 2026 goals and we go through those and I set some ambitions, we talk through them, and then I say goodbye and go promptly work on all of those goals, right? Except that this year, I am actually not creating any goals, at least not publicly. I do have some goals that are personal, and I also have some knitting goals-ish. It's really just some things that I'm thinking about, not necessarily goals that I'm setting, but I am going to experiment with not sharing any goals publicly and see how that goes. So I don't have any goals other than the bingo card, which is what I will be focusing on this year. And that feels like a pretty good cadence. So from me and the shadows on my face in my very dark house, I hope that you have a wonderful year, and I'll see you in the next one.